Welcome back to Movement Professional. So I'm here with my colleague Maddie, and she's been telling me about some of the issues she's getting with doing some abdominal exercises, where when she tries to do some abdominal exercises on her back, especially with her legs straight, she might get some popping and clicking in her hips, which something I see is very common. I get it myself, and we're just going to talk about way to look at it to maybe mitigate that, change it, but also just look at the exercise she might be doing as a whole and how to make it a little easier, make it a little harder, depending on what her body's telling her at any moment. So Maddie, let's have you lie down and demonstrate to me what you were showing was sometimes problematic for your hips. All right, so she's doing just like a scissor kick, and I think, is it when you do leg lifts too, if both legs are coming up and down? Okay. So as a broad category, you can go ahead and relax there. This is just a supine exercise where you're using leg motions to be the thing that promotes activity of the abdominals. So I think there's a discussion to be had too about how we think about abdominals and just understanding where they attach, right? So you have abdominals, which are oftentimes referred to as upper abdominals, which is not really an accurate term because it's all the same abdominals. It's just there's an upper attachment and a lower attachment. So there's an upper attachment by the ribcage, there's a lower attachment by the pelvis. So when we're trying to do lower body movements to get some stimulation in the lower attachment portion of the abdominals, that's sort of what we're targeting there. So we have to really have an appreciation of what's going on with the pelvis, and we have to be able to control the pelvis. So when she feels that popping, a lot of times my guess would be, one, the legs being long the way she has them are straight, the knees being straight. The quadricep, the muscle called the rectus femoris, which attaches to the pelvis up high and also past the knee down low. There's a lot of work that has to happen in that muscle there, and it's also pulling on its attachment of the pelvis. So basically what it wants to do is pull Maddie this way as much as possible, which is not a problem, but it's a fight. And I think sometimes we underestimate how big of a fight that is. Basically, it wants to pull her back to arch and wants to pull the front part of her pelvis down and forward. So we have to be fighting against that. So the easiest way to fight against that, let's bring your legs up again, would be, let's just start with them a little bent. All right. And then before we do anything with the legs straight, I just want this area here to be like your major focus, like the back of your belt, decently heavy into the ground. Now, before you do anything along those lines, and we'll let you keep your head up for the time being, but we can even manipulate that, just creating as much pressure as you can there. Do you start feeling your abs working? Mm-hmm. Right, so right now, like, she's already doing ab work. So like, how hard do we need to make it? Well, it really depends on what she wants to feel. So maintain this. Now slowly straighten your legs until you feel like you either can't maintain it. If your back arches a little bit, that's fine. But if you start feeling something you don't like in your hips, then you just back it off. So it's just like a game of inches with how straight you want your legs and how low you want your legs too. You see how that makes it harder? And I think one of the things to appreciate is sometimes we make things harder than they need to be based on the intention, right? So for you, if the hip popping is happening there and you don't mind it, I don't think it's necessarily harmful, but you're likely not controlling the pelvis the way you want to in that moment, and it's kind of unnecessary. So you just always bring yourself back to this kind of tabletop shape where the knees are over the hips. That makes it easier to get yourself flat through there. Maintain that as you try to go through whatever version you want. So you can now from here go one leg straight, one leg bent, and that looks closer, so go straighten that one out. That looks closer to the scissor. You can actually straighten both of them up here. One leg comes a little bit down, a little bit up. Go ahead and try that in a small range of motion and just see if you feel any popping, just back off on the range of motion. But the priority is going to be what's that back of the belt, or which is ultimately the back of your pelvis, doing against the ground. You can do the same thing, both legs together. You come up to here, bring them down, just bring them down in a small way. And as soon as you feel the pop, just know I probably went a little too far, or I got to come back up here, regroup, get a little bit stronger in the center before I bring them down. So slowing the tempo a lot of times helps here. And then I think finally, if your programming has like 50 reps, maybe make it 10 and make 10 hard, right? Because if you're doing too many reps, eventually you're just going to get fatigued. You'll still move your legs, but now you've changed the whole intention of the exercise. And you bring that down. Any questions there? Make sense? Good.